can feel like an endless labyrinth, but of course, without that epic David Bowie soundtrack. And it can trigger feelings of overwhelm and overexposure as you try to be all things to all people without really being you. And that's why today we have Diana Konkoff Morgan, who is joining us today to share the 3 keys to grow an online presence that positions you as an expert as well as a thought leader. Now, Diana is a published author, and Diana, I know you're also working on another chapter in another book, so soon you'll be multi-published. She's also a national speaker and, of course, a successful serial entrepreneur who has, over the past 35 years, grown 2 very successful businesses using the very strategies that she is going to be sharing here with us today. So welcome, Diana.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you, Tanya.
Oh, my total pleasure. And for those of you who don't know me yet, I am Tanya Target Camacho. I am an award-winning journalist and a former investigative news reporter turned video speaking and media strategist. And you know what's really interesting, Diana, part of the reason I wanted to chat is because so many people have such an overwhelm when it comes to social media. And I saw you share something on social media the other day about trends to watch out for this year in 2021. And one of them is really relevant to what we're going to be talking about here today. Do you know the one that I'm talking about?
Yes, I do. I think it's the less is more.
It is. It is the less is more. It is that brands are going to take a less is more posting approach, which I think is right up your alley of what you believe to be part of that true connection with social media and also to monetize.
Yes, you know, the whole thing about less is more, it comes right in with being more authentic. One of the things I tell people is, you know, it's more powerful to take the time to really comment on a post from your heart, from an authentic place on one post than to just like and post and just pump out content. You know, it does not work anymore, and people will delete you. They'll unfollow you. So it's really important to understand that. It doesn't just go by the wayside. People actually take action on it.
And one of the other trends that they're identifying for 2021 is that conversational tone is also really important. And I think that adds on to what you were just saying, is that instead of just liking like for the sake of it, actually having something to say and that coming from the heart.
Right. Being conversational, being authentic, and it actually starts even back from there. I always say, you know, you want to really think about who are you going to play with on social media. There's 3+ billion people. You can't play with all of them. So when you decide, okay, who am I going to play with, which I'm happy to talk about my recommendations on who to play with. And then you are playing with a strategic group of people. You're being intentional about your social media. So of course, that's going to bring your conversations to a more authentic place.
Now, I'm going to come back into play in just a minute, but for guys, I'd love for you to let us know where you're watching, if you're watching the replay, you're watching the live, and maybe you have a question about social media. And while we're waiting for those comments to come in, we have a comment there already. Awesome. Way to go, Diana. Fantastic. Yeah, Diana is just amazing. And I want to come back to this playing. I'm just going to confess here, and who's with me, I don't see social media as playing. For me, it feels like work. My actual work doesn't feel like work. I get to play with people and stories, and I love that. But then having to go to social media feels like a lot of work. Is that common for a lot of people, and how do we shift that?
Okay, yes, it is common for a lot of people, and it makes me sad. and the thing about it is because social media is such a struggle for people. People feel overwhelmed by it. It changes every 5 minutes. I always tell people, you know, whatever I'm going to tell you about Facebook, it was true as of last night. And I've actually had Facebook reset as I was teaching something. So wow. Yes, it can be overwhelming. It can be frustrating. It can be negative, you know, and I understand that. I really come from that place myself. I really just got on Facebook originally to stalk my children. And here's the cardinal rule, by the way, if anyone has children, don't post on your children's social media. You can see what they're doing, but don't
Do
comment.
they block you? Do they block you?
They could. They could. So let's see, where was I?
You got on social media to stalk your children.
Okay, right. So playing on social media. Here's the thing. So a lot of times people have said to me, I like to really meet people in person. I like to interact in person. I'd prefer to do that, not use social media. Well, here's the thing. Social media, if you're using it right, gives you the opportunity to really deepen relationships with people. And much of what I do when I'm talking about playing on social media is really behind the scenes. It's connecting with people. It's seeing how I can be of service. It's where can I invite them to something that could benefit them. It's about caring. Okay. It's about giving. And when you sort of narrow your focus and really get clear about your niche and who are the people that you should be playing with, it really it'll change your experience.
Now, a little known fact about you, I'm not sure how many people know this, but you actually are a non-denominational minister, and you've officiated over 1,000 weddings. So you've really specialized in uniting the hearts of couples together. And I'm just wondering, what's that? Is there a parallel between the union of hearts that you were doing when you were working, in that wedding industry, to the union of hearts now on social media? And is that what is missing?
That's a great question. And, I actually really struggled with that myself because, when I started doing this work and, three or four times I came to this point of like, really, God, Facebook, this is my life, because, it can be this incredibly annoying, superficial thing. But when I made the connection and I kept going back and back and back further into what I was doing with the rituals and ceremonies, a wedding is a ritual. And it's an opportunity to connect from the heart. And if the person who is officiating knows what they're doing, knows how to create that sacred space, everybody in the entire experience will feel the connection of the couple in their hearts. And I realized that it's the same thing on social media, that our goal is to bring as much of who we are, our presence, bring your whole heart essence to your online presence through the internet to connect and to share our energy and transcend whatever is between you and the people that you're interacting with, so that they really feel you as close as possible to if they were experiencing you in person. And when you make that kind of connection with people, it feels just like you're connecting in person.
And I think, if you were, when my husband and I, Anthony and I, got married a couple of years back, we wrote our own vows. We weren't reading someone else's vows. Yet when it comes to social media, we don't write our own vows, so to speak. We're struggling with someone else's voice. And that would be part of that disconnect.
That's interesting. So actually, okay. So on a certain level, we do write our own script, our own message, because there's really two aspects to social media there. And this kind of goes to talking about really creating your brand and your legacy online versus just selling something. And so part of that is really presenting yourself as who you are versus what you do. And that's what your personal profile is about. I would say it's who you be, not what you do. And so in doing that, you are absolutely writing your own script, branding yourself, being who you want to be. In other words, every single thing that you do on social media leaves a digital footprint, is seen by other people. So you have to think about that. Any single thing that you like, comment on, share, whatever you do on your social media, people are seeing it and you are branding yourself. So you get to decide how you want to brand yourself. How do you want to be seen? So that's one aspect of it. And then the other aspect of it is to really start to look at your ideal client. Okay. So look at them as a person. If you can imagine that when you are on social media, you're talking to one person, that one person who is struggling, and you know that you have what they need to have that level of transformation that you want them to have, that's magic and that's gold. And that, for me, that's what it's all about. And that's why I get a smile on my face and I get excited. And it's like, that's what playing on social media is about.
How interesting. And you talk about that digital footprint. And I think that's where it comes into the legacy that you talk about creating. And then that digital footprint is there forever. Tell us about what I guess more of what you see in a digital footprint. I think the expert always sees something much more than is there, and how that's linked to creating the right kind of legacy.
Sure. It's not just social media. Like, it's social media now, but I always say there's always going to be a new place to hang your virtual shingle. And, there's always going to be a new place to grow your online presence, to connect, to share who you are. So it's on your website, it's your blog, it's your social media. Wherever you are on the internet, people can Google you and they can pull up and see who you are and what you're about. And it gives them an opportunity to feel like they know you. So for example, if somebody meets you, maybe they meet you in person, maybe they see you on social media, and they meet someone else, and you're both doing the same thing, because nobody really does the same thing, but you both say you're doing the same thing. So they look you up on social media, they look you up on the internet, and if one person has a lot of really authentic content, they have a blog, they have all kinds of content that they've posted that is branding them, and another person, either they don't have much or everything they have is very promotional, it is more likely that the person is going to choose the person who has that branded, quality, authentic content, because they feel like they know you. Energetically, people feel, even though you think it's just words, and even though you think it's just, a picture or a video, people feel that energetic connection and they feel your intention.
And Karen just mentioned, I put it up there on screen for you to see it being as authentic. And that brings me back to that social media trends of 2021 to watch. And one of them is that authenticity will be absolutely vital to even be seen, let alone stand out. And so tell us about creating that brand legacy, Diana. Something you've talked about is to don't get caught chasing the flash mob. What do you mean by that?
Okay, so what I mean by that is that there are so many different places to hang your virtual shingle. And what you want to do is you want to create a level of content that expresses who you are, and it's content that your ideal clients will lean into. So you think about your ideal client and what is their struggle. And when you post on either on your platforms or when they see your content in their feed, maybe people have shared your content, you want them to have that feeling of like, oh, she or he gets me, that tell me more, the lean in. So that's part of your brand legacy, is posting content that people are going to lean into.
And I know you have a formula for that. Your whole heart marketing success formula is a 50-40-10. Can you share that with us, with your sizzle there behind that?
Yes, and that goes right into this. So, and this is something, when I share this, a lot of people go out of their body. So as I say this, take a breath and let this in, because this is a different way of doing social media. It's not the thing you typically hear. That 50% of the time that you're spending on social media, you want to be branding yourself. You want to be posting your content, but more than that, you want to be connecting, liking, commenting, sharing. Find a couple of groups and be really active in those couple of groups, as opposed to having like 100 groups that you do very little in. Connect with people. And I want to go back to, like, who do you connect with? So who do you want to connect with on social media? Who do you want to play with? As I said, you want to play with people who are active. You want to play with people who are in alignment with you. In other words, your message is in alignment with their message. Your brand is in alignment with their brand. Because if you're not in alignment, especially these days, you're not going to want to share their content. They're not going to want to share your content. Another thing that you want to think about is strategic partners. And this can be many different things. So one aspect of strategic partners is that you each do something similar sorry.
Peanut butter and jelly. I call it, in Australia, Diana, we call it Vegemite and cheese. In America, we call it peanut butter and jelly. So you are complementary, not in competition.
Exactly. So, and the other thing is, though, they could be industry leaders. In your industry, they could be big networkers. So they don't have to necessarily be those kind of strategic partners. And then what do you do? So pick 5 people. Go to your friends on Facebook. Friends, I always use air quotes when I say friends on Facebook. Go to your friends, pick 5 people. Go to their profile. Go to their business page. Take the time to start to get to know them. And then connect with them on the other social media platforms. Don't immediately try to sell them anything. Take the time to care about what they're doing. So
I love that. And is that I know we were going to talk about monetizing social media.
Oh, right.
Yeah. How long does it?
My 50-40-10.
I think. I'm sorry, I cut you off from the 50-40-10.
That's okay. Please. I always go down these rabbit holes. Okay, so that's 50% of your time. 50% of your time. And if anybody thinks like, are you kidding me? I want you to start thinking about your business model. Back to monetization. If getting 3 to 6 clients over 3 to 6 months is not worth it to you, then I want you to reconsider your business model, raise your prices. Think about that, because I'm not talking about people get on Facebook and they look at a couple pictures and they're like, oh, look at that little kitty. And all of a sudden they click on YouTube and they're on YouTube for 2 hours. So that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about intentional social media, which means you are focused on what you're doing for your business, even though it is you being you.
And Diana, I just would love to ask a question there that I think some people might be thinking, and that is that 50% of my time should be spent on the promoting and the connecting. 50% of what time? How long? How often should?
Okay.
Yeah. What? Yeah. And I know that's a rabbit warren in itself, right? That's Alice down the rabbit hole. But is there a rough guide that you could share?
Yeah, and I'll share my 15 years of experience of myself and my hundreds of clients that, and I used to say, well, I do say an hour a day, 5 days a week. And I used to say 2 posts a day. But now, because, less is more, here's what I want to say. Be present twice a day, which means liking, commenting, sharing, connecting twice a day. Maybe do a half hour in the morning, half hour in the evening, and you can find somebody to help you with the business and promotional posting. I'm talking about you being you. And this is the part of your social media you can't pay someone else to do. So that's 50% of your time. Then 40% of your time is educate, inspire, and motivate. And this is what brands you. So on your personal profile, it's how do you want to educate people? How do you want to raise consciousness? How do you want to inspire? And this is part of the brand legacy that I'm talking about. So it's quotes, it's articles, it's causes that are important to you that aren't too activating politically or anything like that, because that becomes a distraction to your social media.
And alienating. You can really alienate.
Yeah, exactly. And then all of your efforts go to that. So that's and then on your business social media, it's educate, inspire, and motivate through your business. So for example, on your personal social media, it's sharing your passion for your business. And on your business social media, it's sharing your business. And, the education, it's not the how-to, it's the why is it important? It's the what does it matter? What is missing from your ideal client's life that you have the transformation for? And that's what your education is. So that's 50%, be yourself, brand yourself. 40%, educate, inspire, and motivate, position yourself as the expert in your field. And guess what? That's 90% of your time is building influence. Then 10% of your time is promote. And the promotion, in my opinion, on social media is something free, because you want to give people an opportunity to get to know you better. Like my friend says, the Baskin-Robbins pink spoon. You want to give them a sample of the ice cream.
Peppermint.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm just wondering, for those of you who are watching us, when you hear Diana's secret formula, where do you fit into that? Are you doing the 50-40-10? Where do you fit into that? And if you have any questions for Diane, please do feel free to bring them in. And so then where does the monetization come in? Because I know a lot of people are just so quick to rush to that. Where it's kind of like people just get to know it, not even had a first coffee yet, and they're already asking to go home or something, right? So we wouldn't do that in real life, because if we did, we kind of go, oh my goodness, and you wouldn't go for a second date or anything like that. What are the realistic expectations on social media? But when I say realistic, I mean, because I believe in one of the reasons you and I get along so well is because we actually truly enjoy to connect and like to connect. Mm-hmm. Some people just want to connect to sell their stuff. So let's say you're coming from the right space of truly connecting to add value, to share your message, to inspire, to help, to educate. What's the steps next for the monetization? How does that flow?
Great. So that's my favorite question, my second favorite question. So, this is the thing, and this is back to the flash mob question that you asked earlier, that I would say there's 4 steps to creating an online presence that will bring you clients ongoing. And the thing that makes me really sad is that a lot of people are doing so much on social media, and, they're posting and they're doing all this stuff, but you can't use social media. You can't use Facebook as your database or your email mailing list. You have to have your own online presence. Okay. So, which means you have to have a website, you have to have email marketing. So the first step to really monetizing is to think about your message. Who is your ideal client? And what do they want to see in their newsfeed from you? What do they want to see on your social media? All social media are search engines. So you have to really think about that in terms of the words that you use, and that they're the words that your ideal clients would use to search for you, to be attracted to you. Number 2 is the plan. This is where the freebie comes in. So you want to have a freebie so that it takes people to your website. And, there is...
I thought I'd drop that in really quickly. And I see some questions, by the way. We're going to come back to that. But I thought, while you talked about a freebie, I'll drop Diana's freebie in.
Oh, there you go. My freebie, right. and guess what? My freebie is on my website. And guess what? When you sign up for my freebie, I am going to ask you for your email address, because I want to stay in touch with you. And my email list is sacred. Okay, so I do not send ad after ad after promo after promo. I'm going to send you, guess what? Just like my social media, education, information, inspiration, and a little bit of promotion when I have something coming up. So, and a lot of people think email is dead. If you send promo after promo, yes, email is dead. But if you really use it to build the relationships, email is powerful. So this is where the flash mob comes in. If you do not have the container, which is your website and your email marketing, using social media is like chasing a flash mob from one social media platform to the next. And if all of those people who had 10, 15, 20,000 likes on their business page were getting people to their website, they would not have to pay Facebook to reach those people. And so, where are we? We're on Twitter, we're on LinkedIn, now we're on Clubhouse, we're everywhere. Wherever you find people, whether you're speaking or whether you find them on social media, wherever you find people, get them to your online presence. Yeah. And then of course, the next thing is the social media campaigns, which is intentional social media. No more random acts of social media. It's the 50-40-10, intentional campaign so that it helps you stay focused on what is your goal of your social media.
Now, just on that campaign to educate, inspire, Asen, I hope I pronounced that correctly, asked the question of how important is problem solving for your clients when you are looking at putting out that content mix, Diana?
Okay, excellent question. So, and that's where I feel like a lot of people get tripped up and frustrated, because they're doing too much how to and not enough why is it important. So, you know, you want to give some how-tos and you want to help people to, you know, solve their, like I've given a lot of how-to today and a lot of information, but I also know that people are going to need ongoing support and guidance. They're going to need like the brass tacks of it all. And how do you really do all of this? So you can give some help to people, but the more important thing is to really help people understand why it's important to take that next step with you. And I also want to say, because that question brings up, if you are licensed in any way, if you're a therapist, if you're any kind of acupuncture, anything licensed, do not give advice, do not solve people's problems on social media, because you know, you have to give a disclaimer like, I'm not sure who you are or what your actual problems are. Here's a couple of general suggestions, because you can get into trouble that way.
Why do you think people struggle so much with social media? Is it the flash mob? Is it just not knowing, not understanding that 50, 40, 20 publishing basic kind of strategy? Or is it something else, Diana?
Well, that's an interesting question, because first it is those things. You know, I have asked that question too, because I teach my coaching programs and I've been doing this work with, you know, hundreds of clients on getting them onto social media to be visible, to change the world. And, you know, I kind of sometimes step back and I go, okay, they know how to do it. Why aren't they doing it? And that's where all these other issues come in of, you know, feeling too vulnerable and overexposed. Feeling they're afraid they're going to make a mistake in front of their closest million friends. Here's another one. You know, a lot of times people say, well, you know, I'm concerned about security and privacy. So guess what? You don't have to worry about that ever again. You have no security or privacy on social media, anywhere on the internet. Like I always say, don't put anything anywhere on the internet that you don't want on the front page of the newspaper. And then you don't have to worry. It's just business, even though business and personal are so intertwined for us these days that, you know, but it is still just business.
I can tell you, as a former investigative news journalist with many friends who still are journalists, the first place we go to check you out is social media. Right. And it's a public forum. And the other thing too is, even if it's in a closed group, if someone else sees it, it's screenshotted, it's there. Right. So it's such solid advice, Diana.
You can never use private, like people say, oh, I have a private page or private group. First of all, there's no such thing as a private page. But you can't use private and anything social media in the same sentence.
Now, let's say you're in social media jail. I don't mean that you've been locked out because you've been doing too many promotions. I mean, you're in the doghouse because you haven't been getting it right. You've been not putting your heart into it, or, you know, just kind of going for that quick sell, not posting too many promotional images, whatever it is, right? You haven't been getting it right. Can you come back?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And what would be the first step to reinvent yourself on social media?
Absolutely. You can always come back, and you can get in what is called, it's not Facebook jail, but you can be shadow banned, which means Facebook just hides your posts and you don't even know it. You just notice nobody's commenting on anything because it was too promotional. So how do you come back? You know, I want to go back to, like, the internet is a 24/7 networking opportunity. So it's just like if you went to a networking event. If you walked into a networking event in person and you just like, remember I don't know, from the 80s, like how to work a room, you know, and you just like, you know, hey, Tanya, want to buy my book? Hi, Debbie, want to come to if you did that, guess
what? Like, oh, there's Diana. Right. Quick,
right.
Yeah.
I can do it. And it's the same thing on social media. The minute you decide to change how you are going to be on social media, everything will change for you. The minute you go to your friends on Facebook and say, who can I really connect with authentically, and send them a private message and say, hey, you know, Tanya, would you like to have a Zoom coffee or tea next week? Or send a private message to somebody and say, hey, Sue, I'd love to invite you to this networking event that I think you'll really enjoy. That it's totally, when you start to make it totally about them and not about you, everything changes. And you will start to notice when you start to think about, what am I liking? What am I commenting on? What am I sharing? And when you start to really become present to what you're doing, it just shifts so fast you won't even believe it.
I love that. But the journalist in me also heard the soundbite of shadow banning. How does one know if they've been shadow banned, Diane? I haven't heard of that before.
Okay, I'll give
Have
you.
I? And others might be watching this going, have I been shadow banned? How would we know?
Okay, I'll give you an example. So I have a client who was posting Facebook Lives on her personal page. And even though they were not buy my this and buy my that, they weren't promotional, it was too many Facebook Lives on the personal page. So basically what's happening is we're being observed by the bots. It's not humans, it's bots. And these bots are set up to be triggered by certain activities, like repetitive and too many of the same words and certain words. So if you are, everybody's commenting on your stuff and then all of a sudden crickets, then you know you've been shadow banned.
How does one get unshadow banned?
Well, it usually would only last for a couple of days because the next step is you get put in Facebook jail and all of a sudden your profiles are just gone and you get a notification that, you know, you're in Facebook jail for however long, a weekend or a week or whatever. But I'm going to tell you how to never have that happen. If you do the 50-40-10, if you use your personal profile for your passion for your business and to educate, inspire, and motivate and to brand yourself, and you do your business on your business page, then that's not going to happen to you. And if you really, on your business page, I mean, you're not going to get that much traction, although I do have a few strategies for actually getting higher visibility on the business page for free. But also boosting posts is a great way to get visibility on your business page. And on the other social media, it's a whole different thing because you don't have that separation and that issue.
Yeah, I do love boosting posts. I find boosting posts can be way more powerful than paid ads, like just by boosting that post. And I just want to honor some of the comments coming in. You're getting some amazing feedback here. Karen's been lying in Carnarvon Gorge, just listening. Carnarvon is in a remote part of Northern Territory, which is remote part of Australia, and is said that also she's just so over caring about what other people think, and she's absolutely been loving this content. So thank you, Karen, for sharing that.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm also mindful of your time. I know you're a very busy lady, and I'm just wondering, just before we finish up, and I want to show people how they can also continue the conversation with you, because I know you have all kinds of stuff that I've been privy to, and it really is amazing. So if you are enjoying what Diane is sharing here right now, this really is just the tip of the iceberg. You mentioned right at the beginning about who to play, where you should play, how to find who you should play with. And you did kind of say that you might, if we had time, you might share that. Could you give us a little, some tips on how to find our playground and who we should be playing with?
Yes, great question. Another one of my favorite questions. So this is what most people do on Facebook. Not any of you, but other people. So you open up Facebook and you're like, okay, I'm going to do my business social media. And maybe you open LinkedIn, whatever, and you go, okay, what should I say? That's the first question, right? What should I say for most people? But here's the thing. That's not really the first question. The first question, and this, if you implement what I'm about to tell you, it will change your results forever. The first thing you want to think about is, who am I talking to? Back to that one person. Who am I talking to? What is the struggle that they have that I know that I can help them with? And what is the transformation that I bring? And from there, the next question is, what should I say? Okay. And so it's, what should I say that is going to cause someone to lean in, to say, tell me more, and to inspire them to, take the 30,000 foot view to, take the high road. People need inspiration right now. And a lot of times people say, I feel just posting all these quotes or all these things, or who's even seeing it? Here's the thing. Whether people are liking, commenting, or sharing your content, it does not mean they're not seeing it. So that's something you have to really think about. They're still seeing it. you know what you do. You're scrolling through your phone. You don't comment on every single thing. You look at it. I look forward to those things in the morning. That's my personal social media time. But back to, who do you play with? So to start with, for this particular niche, and the niche that I'm about are people who essentially we're selling ourselves. We're selling relationship. So where do you start? Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram, and of course, Clubhouse. Now they have Android, so we can all be on Clubhouse. Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram to start. And Instagram as a supplemental, great branding opportunity, but not a strategy in and of itself. So that's where you could start. And again, you just want to start with people you know. Who do you already know that you're just, like a lot of us, we kind of started Facebook just like gathering people, like how many friends can I get? How many likes can I get? How many people do you really need to have a successful business? How many people do you really? So here's another one of my staggering statistics. We are all only 6 degrees of separation from everyone in the world. So how many people do you really need to interact with to reach millions of people? Right? So think about, again, this strategy really works for people. Pick 5 people a week, 5 people that you really want to start getting to know better, go deeper with, and play with on social media. And then start to play, liking, commenting, sharing, caring, connect with all of their social media and give. It's more powerful to give, to share, to be there for them than it is to just start pumping out your own stuff.
I love that. Such great tips. And, guys, if you've got a question for Diana, just quickly before we finish up, please drop it in. And if you're watching the replay and you have a question for Diana, please drop it in, because she is part, obviously, of our awesome community. And I just want to share this as well. If you want to connect with Diana further, if you are leaning in right now, wanting to hear more, as I suspect you are, because honestly, Diana, those tips that you just shared just then, reaching out to 5 people who you generally want to connect with. And before you ask yourself, what do I want to say today? The question is, who am I talking to? What are their struggles? What is the transformation they're looking for? It is absolutely such expert advice that will truly a game changer on social media. I just want to thank you so much for joining us. Do you want to share a little bit about the free gift that you have?
Yes. What I do is I teach a class once a month. It's on the second Thursday, and it's different every time. So jump in. One is happening actually tomorrow. And I call it Social Media Success Strategies Masterclass, what's hot and what's not. And I really just talk about, what's trending, what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing, because I do feel like this is one of the big struggles that people go through on social media is, they don't want to make a mistake, right? We don't want to make a mistake in front of 2 million people. So this class, it's recorded. You can either join live or get the recording. And it's just totally so that I can really help people to be more successful with their social media, to feel more comfortable with it, and to really understand how to take your own online presence to the next level.
And I have been on one of these classes, and Diana does talk more about that formula, that 50, 40, 10. I said 50, 40, 20 before. No doubt I failed math in high school. It is 50, 40, 10. I like to think about it. Diana, thank you so much for coming, bringing your heart and sharing your whole heart marketing here with us today. We're very blessed, and I'd love to have you back later in the year as well. So
it's my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me, Tanya.
Total pleasure. Guys, take care. Stay safe wherever you are, and we'll see you same time next week. And don't forget, go and connect with Diana. Go and find out about her and make her one of those 5 people that you're connecting to, and start to have some fun and play on social media. Take care, guys.